Let's preserve some vegetables, so pathetic harvests like this don't go to waste. G'day friends, how's it going? Welcome back to Sam's Home Kitchen, where I bring to you budget-friendly recipes with sustainability in mind. We're talking about 2 ways to preserve our summer harvest. Got some garlic that I harvested from my garden and some beautiful zucchini or courgette that I was given from my in-laws. These are beautiful, super healthy, really big. I don't know how they do it, really jealous. Harvesting of vegetables though, you can't really plan this. They are ready to go when they are ready to go. In order to not to waste these, we're going to do lacto fermentation for our garlic, pickling for our zucchini. These 2 ways, they don't just apply to zucchini and garlic. You can use them on a variety of vegetables to preserve them, to add more flavor. And towards the end of the video, I'm going to show you a way that we can use up these beautiful garlic stems so they don't go to waste. So to start us off, I got these garlic. They are pathetic. Each bulb are about like thumb size, but homegrown. I love them. I don't want them to go to waste. We start off by cutting off the ends of the garlic leaves that are yellow and dried out. After that, peel off any of the dried outer skin towards the bulb. We want the entire garlic from bulb to the leaves to be edible and discard what's not. To do so, we'll need to cut off the root. At the end, we separate the bulb from the stem and set aside. Do note that the fermentation can be done with peeled garlic cloves too. Peel off any of the dried leaves or skin and cut off the root. Separate the bulb from the stem. The process is a labor of love, but in my opinion, definitely worth it. The next step is for us to jar our garlic up, and the goal is to have it submerged and soaked in a 2% solution brine. That will basically encourage a lacto fermentation environment. Find a jar or container that is big enough to store all of the garlic cloves or bulbs. Put the jar on a scale and tare it. We then fill the jar with water until all is submerged. For me, the liquid weights at 200 grams. To achieve a 2% salt solution, 200 times 0.02 equals to 4, so that is 4 grams of salt. I have some fennel that is bolting in the garden. To make the most of it, I pinch some of the leaves to add to the fermentation. Other garden herbs would also work well. Give it a shake and ensure that the salt is fully dissolved. So now we have a 2% brine. Leave this in room temperature in the cupboard, not exposed to sun. In about 2-3 days, we should start seeing bubbles. 1 to 2 weeks, this should be ready to go. It will give you a bit of a funk. It should mellow out the garlic flavor. And obviously this recipe can be done with just peeled cloves of garlic. So that was our lacto fermentation. It takes time. Next one, we're moving on to pickling, which can be ready in a day or 2. Most important things, we're gonna need jars. Blend 43 or pickle jars. If you have a mandolin, highly recommend. Obviously, if you don't have a mandolin, just use a knife and cut it. That also works well. Cut the zucchini into your ideal thickness and shape. The thinner you go, the faster the pickles will be ready. And we want to stuff the jar to the fullest. By tapping on the bottom of the jar, we're able to condense the zucchini and reduce the gaps between the zooks. We want to pack in as much as possible into the jar, but don't force it too much, or we'll risk breaking the thin zucchini slices. That's looking pretty good to me. With the second jar, I'm doing long ribbons. The key to using a mandolin is to not rush it. Take your time and make sure you don't cut yourself, because these blades are super sharp and you don't want to lose a chunk of your finger in your pickling, do you? Same as what we did with the round pickles, pack it in. Give it a few good taps on the bottom and fill it up. The last step of our pickling is our pickling solution. There's a very easy way to remember it: 1 to 2 to 4 to 8. Salt, sugar, water, and vinegar. This way, we can easily scale the recipe up to liters and liters of pickling solution, or if we want to just do 2 jars like today, we make just enough and not waste. For 2 jars, I did 25 grams of salt, 50 grams of sugar, 100 grams of water, and 200 grams of vinegar. Now that is all in here, we'll bring it over to the stove. The brining solution doesn't have to be hot because zucchini is not super fibrous, it's not waxy, so we don't really need that heat to give it that initial boost. Heat up the liquid enough for us to dissolve the sugar and salt. Does not need to boil. To give it that vibrant yellow color, I added a teaspoon of turmeric. Stir until we don't see any more crystals. To add in a bit more flavor to our pickles, we can add in a couple of peppercorns and obviously the fennels that we grabbed earlier. Don't let them go to waste. I also have some coriander seeds from my garden, so why not throw it in there? Last thing to do for the pickles is to top it with the pickling solution until everything is submerged. Now we just need to let the pickle juice cool down, secure the lids on, and then pop them in the fridge. It will be ready to go in a couple of days. And as promised earlier, I got a little bonus for you. We're going to turn these garlic stems into something really delicious, and you can enjoy this for a very long time. So while I grew up in Taiwan, garlic stem is actually a common ingredient on our dinner table. Usually they're sectioned up and then added to like stir fries or added to soup. Adds a really nice and pungent flavor. Cut up the garlic leaves into small sections so it's easier to blend in the food processor. Into the blender or food processor, a generous amount of salt. Have you guessed it? That's right, we're making garlic salt, so don't be shy with the salt. I didn't weigh it, but it's probably around 1/3 to 1/4 of the garlic leaves in weight. Lid on and blend it all up until it turns into a paste. It's okay if it's still a little chunky. This here on its own is already incredibly pungent and delicious, but we want it to last. Grab a baking tray, line it with some silicone mat if you have it. Spread it out evenly over the baking tray and pop it into the oven at 100 degrees Celsius on fan force for 30 to 40 minutes. Halfway through, we can give it a stir to make sure that the dehydration goes faster. Back into the oven until it's no longer moist. I know the tray of green stuff looks incredibly suspicious. I promise this is garlic. Blend the dehydrated garlic paste up, and we just made some homemade garlic salt. The cost breakdown is right on the screen here. With garlic and zucchini being free, these pickles and ferment cost me altogether 27.75 cents to make. Right, taste test, yeah? Gonna start with our pickles. I really like the balance of salt, sugar and vinegar. This is a great recipe. And the ribbon. Obviously, flavor is just equally as good, but different use cases. The round ones are a little bit smaller. Add them to like burgers and stuff. Classic. Ribbons, you can have them as it is, a little more substantial, a little more texture. These, you can even cut it up into strips, add to salads and whatnot. Alright, garlic. Oh, funky. Oh yeah. So I don't think it's ready yet. It's still a little bit spicy. I will give it another week. Wait until the brine is a bit more acidic to finish the fermentation process. Mellow out the spiciness from the garlic. I'm definitely going to be using this in a future video, so stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you liked it. If you liked the video, give it a like. If you want to see more of these budget-friendly recipes with sustainability in mind, consider subscribing. I have one of these videos coming out every 2 weeks. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time.